when it comes to creating your perfect home, it's often better to renovate than relocate.
This is a house that's been torn to shreds.
Whether you're building out
This is quite the project.
Or reworking what you already have.
Well, that's ridiculous. You just need to get a proper wardrobe.
the decisions you make along the way can make all the difference.
The house is still 10 times better than it was.
10 times. So we're looking back at some of our most brilliant builds.
That's lovely.
Oh, wait till you see everything we've done.
That were taken on by some inspiring families.
I think Alan spent too much time painting this house.
With the aim of answering one all-important question. Are you going to love it?
Or list it.
Today, we're looking at savvy spending and how keeping your eye on the bottom line can deliver top-class results,
It's enormous.
even when the world throws you a curveball.
What's going to happen inside?
Not as much as I'd hoped.
As we tussle with two very different houses
If anybody can do it, it's Kirstie, but I still don't think she can do it.
Harsh.
That's lovely.
Beautiful.
and meet the couples who will have to make up their mind when we pop that question.
Are you going to love it?
Or do you want to list it?
I think we're all far more conscious and mindful about where we spend money nowadays, but particularly on a renovation project. It's hard, but super important not to get carried away with costs.
It's so easy to let the budget run away with
Yes.
you, and if you let the budget run away with you, you're going to end up
Yes.
in trouble. I really, really like it when we go back and we see something and someone says, I got this secondhand, I got this as end of line.
I think we've seen some great examples through the years of making this series of people reusing things, of reclaiming things, renovating things, and those are the people that actually bring things in on budget.
Yeah.
But they've had to monitor it
You
so carefully.
really have to monitor it. If someone gives you a price for something, you know, the bath costs this or the sink costs this, do I really want that one? Is it that important? Is there something that's quite similar that's a different price? I think we are trained to believe expensive means better. I don't necessarily think that's always the case.
Well, it's about savvy spending, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You've got to know what you're spending, why you're spending it,
Yeah.
and never, when you're doing building work, never be fooled by brands.
And we found some savvy spenders back in 2022 when we headed to Nottingham to meet clothing designer Lexi and husband IT consultant Ed. But it's not just these two in this 4-bed house. There's also 6-year-old Nico, Xanthi, who's 4, and 15-month-old twins, Lanny and Phoenix. Bought just 4 years ago, they're quickly outgrowing this 1920s semi, and Ed thinks it's time to move on.
So I want to list this house because the house itself won't cater for a scaling sort of family. But as they get bigger, you know, we're walking over each other in the kitchen.
The 4th bedroom is currently my office, but it's very, very cold. It's not really a viable bedroom. And
I'm getting annoyed with things like the parking outside.
Despite the growing tensions, Nottingham local Lexi loves their home's character and can still see a future here.
Give me that foot.
The reason I love this house is because it's got a really nice flow to it. It's bright. It's just a homely home.
The thought of extending the house enough to fit their current needs is proving quite overwhelming.
Literally, before we even moved here, we had plans to, you know, we'll knock down that wall, we'll do this, we'll do that for say, 3 years. We've just been in that constant state.
The current layout has a large lounge diner along one side of the house and a small family area leading to the kitchen at the back. Then upstairs, they currently use 3 bedrooms for sleeping, with Nico and Xanthi sharing one small room, the twins in the tiny box room, and the 4th room at the back, which is the coldest room in the house, kept as an office for Ed to work from home. But the biggest bugbear for all the family is that there's only one bathroom in the whole house.
So even though their house is a decent size, there just aren't enough rooms for this family of 6. And the long-standing debate over whether to love or list is taking its toll on Lexi and Ed.
It's caused a lot of friction, and especially when you've got 4 kids to worry about as well. You know, you don't want to have to be constantly going over the different points of why we should stay, why we should go, why we should stay. So yeah, it's just exhausting more than anything.
Well, you can relax now, Ed, because I'm here to help you sort things out. Oh, and Phil's here too.
So who wants to love, who wants to list?
I want to list it because we've got 4 children. It's not big enough now. I don't think it's going to be big enough if we do anything to it. And certainly as they get older, then, you know, it's not the family home that I think we need for 4 kids.
And Lexi?
It's a great house. It's just that we've got a bedroom being used as an office and we just need a bit more space downstairs.
Ed, why do you think the house doesn't work? It's just simply not big enough?
I grew up thankfully in a massive house, and I had my own space as a child.
Do you feel this house will work longer term?
I do, yeah. Everything's perfectly set. The park is literally a 3-minute walk away. The school's a 10-minute walk away. The shop's obviously like a minute walk away. I just like the fact that it's just a really homely feeling. You know, you can move houses, but it might not have that same heart to it.
There is one thing, 4 bedrooms. You have 4 children. So actually...
We do need one more, but 2 can share.
With your permission, we'd love to have a look around now.
No problem.
Ed and Lexi have given me a love-it budget of £60,000 to make this home a more comfortable place to live. But making the space work for a family of 6 is going to be a challenge.
Oh, look. There is only room for the 2 cots and the wardrobe, and I bet you the wardrobe has got the... Yes, you see, that's the top of the stairs, so it's very narrow there. They need more space. There's no 2 ways about it.
It's a lovely house, but it's just not right for this big family, and I can see why Ed's had enough.
It's a pretty small family bathroom, and there is only one of them, and yet there's 6 people living in the house, so that's going to have to change.
And then this is the office. Oh, you can feel it's a bit colder. And it's not a particularly cold day today. This is the little extension above the kitchen, and it's a great home office, but again, it's not enormous.
Oh, that's actually a really good garden. For a city house, that is fantastic and will, of course, be difficult for me to compete with. The house has already been extended, which could prove complicated if they want more space inside.
I might struggle to compete with the homely character Lexi has here for their listed budget of $450,000, but I'm confident I can find them a more spacious, modern family home in an area they'll love.
Don't forget the £12,500 stamp duty and almost £6,500 in moving and legal costs. That totals nearly £19,000, which could be used to make this house work better for the whole family.
So you've got a corridor room through there and then quite a big old...
Nobody is saying this house works.
Meanwhile, I can tell for Lexi the access to the shops and the friends and the school, the cafes...
It's all really important.
That's super important.
I'm going to have to be clever with my spending and make every penny count. We're already dangerously close to the ceiling price of the street. And with the cost of building work escalating, shelling out for the expensive double-storey extension I suspect Lexi's hoping for would be too big a risk. So I've had to think outside the box. My plan centres around opening the back of the house to create a large eat-in family kitchen. The space at the front could then be split off to create a cosy TV room. As for the much-needed second bathroom, part of the new kitchen will be a multifunctional laundry room cum WC, which will be accessed via the entrance hall. And finally, while we can't create an additional room upstairs, a garden pod will provide space for Ed to work from home, freeing up one of the bedrooms so the eldest 2 children will no longer have to share.
I like the idea of that.
I worry that if you put the wall back in here, then this room will become very small.
It will become very small. Listen, Lexi, I know what you wanted. You wanted this built out here.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason it's not there is because we can't get an agent to assure us that you'd get that money back. OK, you need a chat. You might be coming back to me wanting to do more expenditure, but this is the minimum expenditure with the maximum return.
Was it hard to manage their expectations?
Yeah, I think it is hard when someone wants something and they imagine something in there, because they've done a bit of research, perhaps for various reasons to do with family or babies being born or jobs or whatever. They haven't done it, and then suddenly they've come back to the idea a year or 2 later, and the costs have massively escalated, and then they realise that it's just going to be beyond their budget.
Yeah.
Sometimes having to pare back gives you something better and more practical and more usable. Sometimes we can all go off on a grand fantasy, and then the reality is actually what we need, not what we want.
I completely agree at the end of the day, but the process of getting there and managing expectations is quite rough.
Can be quite painful, yeah.
In 2021, we're in Lothianburn, near the beautiful Pentland Hills and just south of Edinburgh, to meet investment manager Heather,
Say hello.
her insurance broker husband Tim, and their 10-month-old daughter Gracie.
Is that fun?
After meeting in 2016 and bonding over a mutual love of horses, they embarked on a long-distance relationship.
I think after about 2 years, I had a bit of a crossroads and thought I ought to make a decent woman of her. And
thanks, Tim.
Move up to Scotland.
So in 2018, Tim relocated from Yorkshire to join Heather in her 7-acre property, which she'd purchased 4 years previously.
I really like the house and I just think it offers so much potential. And because I moved in here myself and worked full-time in Edinburgh, I needed it to be really well set up so I could do the horses quickly in the morning, leave them here while I went into town, and I knew that they would be safe. I think because it took so long for me to find it, it does mean quite a lot to me.
But Tim isn't a big fan of their family home.
I'm team listed because I struggle with the endless background noise. In fact, we're so close to suburbia. I don't like the layout. You can't be in the dining room and see what's going on in the sitting room and vice versa. It feels quite disjointed.
This detached 4-bed home is all on one floor, with 3 bedrooms and the family bathroom on the left-hand side of the house. Across the hall, there's a living room which leads to the galley kitchen and dining area, with a small utility room right at the back. The main bedroom with an ensuite is also on this side of the house, making the kitchen more of a corridor. But the biggest issue facing this household at the moment is the conditions of the bathrooms. The ensuite is leaking and water under the tiles has caused the floor to rot, while the main bathroom is tired and dysfunctional. And although Heather loves her rural property that's close to work and city centre conveniences, she does agree there are issues.
The utility room is far too small, and there really is a distinct lack of storage in the house as well.
And with the arrival of baby Gracie, plus the recent shift towards occasionally working from home, the family of 3 are beginning to outgrow their rural abode.
While the indoor layout might be causing them some problems, this animal-loving pair have already invested heavily in the outdoor facilities.
We definitely have prioritised the animals up until now, and I think having Gracie has really focused our attention a bit more on us as a family and what we need to do inside the house.
But despite Heather's determination to stay, country boy Tim is dreaming of a more rural life in the Scottish borders.
But fear not, Heather and Tim, because we're here to help.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Kirstie. This is Phil.
Nice to meet you.
Who wants to love? Who wants to list?
I want to love.
And I am definitely team listed. For me, the layout of the house is odd, but I think probably the biggest thing for me is I'd like to move down to the borders. That's my sort of spiritual home.
Do you want to stay for the house or the location, Heather?
A bit of both. It's nice and straightforward in terms of getting to work. And here we are in a rural property, right on Edinburgh's doorstep. It's quite hard to see past that.
What would it take here for you to stay?
Storage. I think we've got a great space upstairs that's wasted that we can make more of. Do you know, my real sort of thing that I love, or would love, it's going to sound stupid, but is a freestanding bath with a big window looking out there. And I would wallow in that bath for hours on end.
Tim's tub.
Tim's tub, yeah.
Rest assured, Tim, I can find you a house on the borders with a nice big bath.
I think you might need to find more than just a big bathtub to lure Heather away from her hillside haven. Phil had a sizable listed budget of £1 million. But that would also mean shelling out over £90,000 in land and buildings tax. and over 11 grand in fees. Not to mention the cost of transporting all their animals and equipment. Another reason they should stay put. Meanwhile, Heather and Tim had given me a healthy love-it budget of £70,000 to bring order to their single-storey, 4-bedroomed home. The main issue with this house is the awkward layout.
Quite a lot of the rooms in this house don't look at the view. It's a pity. Why wouldn't you have the master bedroom overlooking the fields and the hills and the greenery? I don't think this house fully utilises the beautiful place that it's in.
I'm going to have to get creative with that 70k budget to solve all these layout issues.
Well, that's not very practical, is it? Laundry room, come bedroom, come office. That is what so many people are working with at the moment. Tim needs a proper office and they need a proper laundry room. That is a wasted space if ever I saw one. That is where you can put some cupboards.
But I have a plan that will create more sociable space and make things flow seamlessly.
So, if you flip over the plans, on the top you will find your existing house.
Yeah.
The plan is to make the most of the square footage on the ground floor by dedicating the right-hand side of the house to living and dining, with a large open-plan kitchen and a spacious utility room that's big enough to house the laundry machines too. The front bedroom could become Tim's study, and a new loft conversion would allow space for an additional bedroom and shower room, as well as a generous main suite for Heather and Tim, including that all-important bathtub.
Full disclosure, that bath doesn't, under the current budget and plan, have a view because it has a Velux. But you could put in an extra dormer. The budget for the current plan went between 62 and 110.
Wow.
But I really like the house. But I think it needs to be grander.
Yeah.
I think the view, the location, the area, everything else is grander than this house.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So much to think about.
Yeah.
The plans aren't what we envisaged at all, which I think is a good thing because it's brought something completely new to the table and given us plenty of food for thought.
In Nottingham, after 4 months of deliberation, work has finally started on the new garden pod, but the plan inside the house has been scaled back.
Obviously, with life being post-pandemic, the price of everything's rising, all the rest of it. It's meant that we've had to change what we've decided to do. So we've done what will make our house more livable for us right now.
While Ed and Lexi are sensibly scaling back their interior plans due to cost increases, they are still looking to spend smaller amounts elsewhere to tackle the issues with the house. So they'll complete the garden pod as planned, which will allow Ed to move his office space outside, freeing up a bedroom for Xanthi to have her own space. And while they no longer have the budget for the kitchen extension, utility and WC on my original plan, Ed and Lexi still hope to make better use of their current space by installing new storage in the lounge, turning it into a multifunctional room for the whole family. They'll also block off the side door in what's currently the play area and reinstate the original narrow dining space. By cutting back on the build, they can now afford to address another of Ed's bugbears and are going to drop the curb to create a driveway. 4 months after my first visit, I was back for a catch-up with Ed and Lexi.
So I'm back in Nottingham and the sun is out, which makes it the perfect weather for looking at garden pods. I want to see what's happening out back.
And it's looking splendid.
It's enormous. I might be inclined to put a window in that end for a bit more light. It's always difficult to see until the doors and windows are put in.
The supersized pod is going to be split in two, so that Lexi has a dedicated space to craft with the kids, as well as Ed getting his own office. To make the most of their 2 additional garden rooms, Lexi and Ed have wisely chosen to install proper heating and insulation. So the total cost for the pod is coming in at around £20,000. And given that it will free up a bedroom and clear some of the kids' craft supplies from the living room, I think it's great value for money.
What's going to happen inside?
Not as much as I'd hoped. quite frankly, just because of costs.
Yeah.
We didn't mind spending, say, 10 grand more, if it'd be worth it for the family overall.
Yeah.
But as it was more like 30.
No.
So basically, we just decided that we're just going to make it a livable space for us and potentially see how that works for us.
So, do you want to go in and talk about how best to... Yeah, good.
Yes.
Let's go and have a look.
OK.
Lexi and Ed are going ahead with my suggestion to add storage for the kids' toys in what will be the new lounge playroom. So the priority is now the new kitchen diner. Once the side door is blocked off, they'll have more usable space. But my concern is that this 2.2 metre wide room is just too narrow to accommodate the whole family with their existing dining table.
There is no doubt that you've got to be able to push that table back against the wall.
Yeah.
So you'd have a high chair at either end. The table needs to be as long as possible.
Yes.
And also where do you put the fridge?
Well,
Right.
it's a bit far from the kitchen, I grant you, but it
Still does the job, and it's in the same room at least.
Yes, yes. So that's a possibility, to put the fridge here, and then this means that you basically have the space to walk in here. Your table does not need to be wide, and it is much cheaper to... You're going to be getting the builders in anyway. You create a table from scaffolding boards table, or depends how rustic you want it.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, you absolutely, you do not think about trying to find a table that fits this space. You make the table to fit the space. That is where you're going to save the money.
Yeah.
Standard slim dining tables typically measure 90 cms wide, but custom making something narrower would make it much easier to manoeuvre around this room with 4 children. And while I'm here, I've one more idea that will add storage and make the most of every inch of space.
Have you ever seen when people put glass shelves in windows and then put glasses on them?
No, but that sounds nice.
Looks really nice. You obviously don't want to store anything here which is going to block the light.
No.
But you could do it, and also coloured glasses and candlesticks.
That'd be amazing.
It would look like a really special space.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think it's a really good idea.
I think Lexi and possibly even Ed are starting to get excited about this build again. Job done. With so many more of us working from home than ever before, a recent survey has found that 50% of British homeowners are desperate for more space. A garden pod can be a cheaper and easier way to gain that extra room without the hefty cost of an extension, and some will not need planning permission, although checking with your local planning department is advisable. Garden pods can be far more than just a work-from-home office. They can provide space for use as a yoga studio, guest accommodation, personal gym, or even a home cinema. Many garden pods are fully transportable, and while they can add value to your house, you may be able to take it with you if you move. In Lothianburn, 3 months after I presented my ideas, Heather and Tim received word about plans for a major road close to their land, which, should it go ahead, would dramatically impact their rural way of life.
What it essentially means is the A701 realignment potentially cutting through the field behind us, which would be straight through greenbelt, prime agricultural ground, and is ultimately desperately disappointing and quite upsetting.
The exact location for the new road is still to be decided, and there will be a long process of proposals and permissions. But for the moment, Tim and Heather are left in limbo. Uncertainty about the impact on the value of the house, along with increasing building costs, mean they don't want to spend too much until the road plans are confirmed.
I'm disappointed that we can't go ahead with our grand plan, but there's no two ways about it. It's still very much our home, and it's where we live today. So what we'd love to do, or I'd certainly love to do, at least as a team love it, is to try and revamp the inside and make it a space where we enjoy being and we get the most out of that we possibly can in that time.
So I went back to see Tim and Heather and devise a whole new game plan for Team Love It. First things first, I want to get to the bottom of what's going on with this proposed new road.
Was it a bolt from the blue?
It was.
How long until they decide whether it is going to go on your land?
I mean, we think at least a year.
If an A road did come over the top of the hill, would you want to stay here?
I think it would make it really tough because it's not what it's been for us, and it's not really why we live here.
So you're in limbo.
Yeah.
Are you able to sell this with that hanging over you?
Not really. It doesn't feel like we could. I mean, of course we could, but probably at a discount because of the uncertainty that sits above that.
I think the best case scenario is if they take this particular option off the table.
Right.
Because then, you know, we can get back to either doing the loft or moving on or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's that it will come through here, then, yeah, I think we need to... Well, I think we need to crack on and just figure out how to move.
Right.
For us.
So, but that is at least a year, if not longer, off.
Yeah.
Heather and Tim need a new plan that will help improve their home whilst making it more sellable. Then, once the road decision has been made, they can either move or stay put and take on a larger renovation. So with their reduced 30k budget, they're going to focus on the 2 bathrooms and utility room.
So at the moment you have a defunct bathroom off your bedroom, which needs redoing, and you have a slightly unsatisfactory shower in here.
Yes.
But separate bathrooms are the greatest luxury and the best way to remain happily married.
I'm hopeful that with some savvy spending, I can give both bathrooms a much-needed facelift that will spark some joy for Heather and Tim and make the house more saleable in the long run. In Nottingham, Phil had a budget of £450,000 to find a house big enough for this family of 6, with an open-plan living space, a second bathroom, off-street parking for Ed, and a strong local community for Lexi. So, with a spring in his step, he took them to a 4-bed property just 2.5 miles from their current home.
It looks nice from the outside.
Come on.
The ground floor includes a cosy lounge and a spacious kitchen diner that's 36% bigger than what they have at home. There's also the utility and WC this family of 6 really need. And with a guide price of £380,000, it's well under budget.
Yeah, this is massive.
I like the layout. I still have that separation of the kitchen, the diner, and the living space as well, which makes it, you know, feels like you split it all out.
In addition to all that open plan living space, in the adjoining garage, there's also a smart office that would be perfect for Ed working from home.
Not everything is perfect, Phil, and according to Ed's maths, something about this house doesn't add up.
If we do go for a 4-bed, then what we need is for the 4th bedroom to be split or to be shared so that the twins can share, or whoever. And at the minute, none of these rooms are big enough for that, are they?
Not at all.
So, with Ed and Lexi's words still ringing in his ears, Phil took them to a house he hoped would be a better fit.
This 12-year-old 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home that's walking distance from where they currently live. On the market for £475,000, it's slightly over budget. But with a vast kitchen diner and a spacious lounge, this house is almost double the size of theirs. 5 good-sized bedrooms set across the 1st and 2nd floor mean the children could each have their own space. And with an ensuite main room, a ground floor toilet, and 2 family bathrooms, they would never have to argue over the loo again.
Oh, wow, this is massive.
This is a good sized room, isn't it? Good storage.
If they like the garage at that last house, they're gonna love this one. It's not connected to the house, but it's fully insulated and fitted with electrics, so seriously stands up to their new garden pod at home.
You could even make part of it an office. There's loads of spaces.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
It was starting to look like Phil might have pulled a rabbit out of a hat with this one.
And it's a really good sized room. Actually bigger than ours.
This is even bigger.
Yeah, this is a really good sized room, actually. You could happily put 2 kids in here while they're small.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Phil done.
It's definitely ticked all the boxes. We can definitely grow into a house of this size. Feels very homely as well.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Nice little things that make it not feel like a new build.
Phil had a positive end to the search, and 10 months after our first visit, we were back to find out if he'd done enough to tempt them away from their 1920s semi.
Hello.
Hello.
Look at you two.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Do you like to come on in?
I'd love to come on in.
Thanks to some very savvy spending on their part, Lexi and Ed have managed to create a wonderful kitchen diner with space for the whole family.
I don't think you've even got a new sink. Just new taps to go with the hardware on the doors and a repainted kitchen.
And by moving the dining table in here, out of what was the lounge diner, they've made a more comfortable living space and play area, with new bespoke storage units keeping the children's toys out of sight in the evenings.
Actually feels really, really huge.
It does.
And the unit, such a difference.
The whole room just feels massive now.
There was a dining table that was quite busy up that end.
Yeah. And it's no longer that, it's more of a proper living space where we can chill out with the children.
Spending just £15,000 within the house, Ed and Lexi have managed to completely transform every room and make better use of the space they already had. Upstairs, the exterior of Ed's cold former office has been rendered to provide better insulation, and it's been completely redecorated as a beautiful new bedroom for Xanthi, so she no longer has to share with her brother. Meanwhile, Ed has moved his office outside into one half of the new £20,000 garden pod.
Oh, I'm so excited to see this.
By fully insulating the pod and installing electrics and heating, they've created 2 additional rooms and gained 21 square metres of living space. So while Ed can work peacefully on one side, on the other, Lexi and the kids can craft to their heart's content. And the clutter stays completely out of the house.
Look, you've got your slippers under the table.
Yeah. Is it going well? Everybody enjoying it?
The kids absolutely love using the space and drawing and painting and everything in there.
Yeah.
Again, it takes pressure off the house.
Yes, definitely.
Doesn't give you a 5th bedroom. Just saying.
Well, bedrooms are just for sleeping in.
I think we'd better get on with this.
I love what you've done here, and you've absolutely taken pressure off the house for now. But is it really a long-term solution?
It's still a great house. It does what we need it to right now, and the kids love it.
This might be the moment to mention.
Go on, give us the news.
Average pre-renovation valuation, £282,500.
How much did you spend?
£35,000.
Yes.
Average post-renovation value, £340,000. Value added, £57,500. Value added minus spend, £22,000.
That's very good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
That is really good.
Yeah.
Because usually, if you don't add any space on, you just do a rejig, you shouldn't lose money, but you're not going to make money.
That was one of the big things. We didn't want to overstretch what we could get out of the house, so to hear that makes me happy.
Which brings us to the point.
Right. Lexi, Ed, do you want to love it?
Or do you want to list it?
We are going to stay here and enjoy the house, but ultimately list it.
So you'll enjoy it for a bit because it's all new and fresh.
Yeah.
And then move.
It's been a long journey here and something we should have started a long time ago. But as you've pointed out a lot, it still doesn't meet the needs of our family.
Of our family. Yeah, you've done a really great job. It's a special house.
It occurred to me watching that. I know they had to scale everything back, but I love it when there are little changes that make big differences, like dropping the curb, like losing the door in the dining room.
Yeah.
Garden prod, huge success.
They spent over £3,000 on storage, and that's a lot of money. But it can transform a space. I can't say this often enough. Storage is key.
There's a 20 grand profit in the work that they did, which in this world is a huge success.
Yeah.
They invested the money, which enables them to go, now we've got choices.
Yeah.
We will move. We might not move right now, but we will move and we can move.
Well done, Phil.
Well done yourself. With your help, they were very sensible. They adjusted their plans and they were very savvy about it. They had to be.
Savvy spenders. And that's what we have all learnt to become.
And up in Lothinburn, it was still all to play for. Heather and Tim have had some news about the location of the road that was potentially going through their land, and there's finally some building work happening.
They have now provisionally decided that the preferred route is the other side of the woods. Now, that's not to say that it won't change, but at the moment, just from where we're sat, it's better news.
So now the bathrooms have been ripped out, damp-proofed, and the laundry machines are eventually going to make their way out of the shed and into the utility room.
I'm quite excited about the work that's being done and visualising what it's going to be like. And I think, given the amount of deliberation that we've been through in terms of what we do here, it's great to finally actually get cracking.
It's been a slow process, and we're finally getting somewhere. Phil had been getting somewhere too. With his £1 million listed budget, he headed for the stunning Scottish borders on the search for a detached rural property with 5 bedrooms, generous living accommodation, easily commutable to Edinburgh, with enough outbuildings and land for the horses, and a bath with a view for Tim.
My first offering 3.5 miles outside the popular town of Kelso and 20 miles from Tweedbank Station for train links to Edinburgh is this stunning, stone-built 18th century farmhouse.
With its 6 bedrooms, 4 reception rooms, and a fabulous open-plan kitchen diner, Phil knew this house would appeal to Tim.
Now, if someone can find a better main bedroom with a better view, then I take my hat off to them.
That would be a challenge. That's quite special.
It's exceptional.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Tim, there was something that you said to me way back when we first met about your ultimate dream and what you might want in the house or in the bathroom of the house. What was it?
Freestanding bath.
With a view?
With a view.
Go have a look in there.
Oh, no.
Wow. Nailed it.
Oh, dear.
That's phenomenal. It's a proper family home, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is lovely.
The cherry on top of this very well-iced cake is this beautiful former barn.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
I mean...
I keep saying wow. It's really annoying. I really like the house, actually. I just think it's got a great feel. And it's the sort of space that I could imagine us being happy in and really living in.
Got a great family vibe. I've been pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting to see something like this.
I feel like we've got fairly close, but it would be nice to have more land that was directly accessible and owned by the property.
Phil continued his search in Kelso, which Sir Walter Scott called the most beautiful, if not the most romantic village in Scotland, and found them a giant slice of countryside with his next property, an impressive house in an 11-acre plot.
So we have 11 acres that is properly fenced, split into different paddocks, big barn, another big barn, workshop to the right. It's so easily transformed into something similar that you've got at home.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Is it sufficient in size?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, it's thereabouts at the minimum amount of land that we would like.
Thereabouts at the minimum. I'll take that. I'll take it.
With 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 3 reception rooms, an office, boot room and utility. There's all the family space they're looking for.
But despite this house being full of surprises...
Oh, crikey.
Oh, this is nice.
Didn't expect this.
No.
That's lovely. That is a pretty remarkable view, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
It didn't quite deliver the magic Phil was hoping for.
The general style of it, how does it sit with you?
It doesn't have the same romance as the last one, but it's very well done.
Tim?
Personally, I'm not quite feeling it, if I'm being truthful.
Do you know why that is?
I love the last house, basically.
Well, it was the bath.
It was the bath, it's true.
While Tim might have fallen in love with that bath, Pip had clearly fallen for the beauty of the borders.
I love that search. I love being in the borders, such a beautiful part of the world. Tim and Heather were great. And it was an interesting search, you know, land and outbuildings and stuff to do. That first house Absolutely nailed it. Remember Tim he wanted a bath with a view?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness me. He walked into that bathroom and he was just completely blown away. It was like the deal was done. It certainly made Heather stop and think, OK, this is serious now. I'm going to have to concentrate because we may very well be moving.
There's a lot more land than there is houses in that neck of the woods, and that makes a huge difference. Rural searches are often more difficult. That's why we don't... How many times do we get to go to somewhere like that?
I love doing it.
I know you do, because that's how you were brought up. That's what you like, that kind of thing.
More than 1 year after we first met Heather and Tim, we were back in Lothian-Burn to discover if Phil had done enough to persuade Heather to saddle up and head for the borders.
It is a beautiful day.
It is.
Hello.
Hello, Heather. Hello, Tim.
How are you?
Hello.
Do you want to come in?
I'd love to come in.
Come on, then.
After being forced to scale back their original plans, I'm eager to hear what Tim and Heather have decided to do.
How are things?
Good.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, a lot's happened. There's definitely been a few bumps in the road. Maybe it would be best to start with the question.
The question.
The question.
Start with the question. OK. Really?
Heather, Tim, are you going to love it?
Or are you going to list it?
Well,
We're gonna...
we found somewhere else.
Yeah.
Of course you have.
We're in the process of moving at the moment, as we speak. Really? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Found somewhere.
Yeah.
And what's happening here?
So we basically need to tie up the work here.
Yeah.
And then we can finally close the door.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was it one of those wonderful houses that I showed you? The barn. You bought the barn. Yes.
We haven't bought the barn.
But it was a great project and opportunity. It was good to see it.
It was just a bit far out. We went to go and look at another place and had a phone call from an agent on the way back and saying he'd just listed a house and would we like to go and look at it?
Okay.
It may or may not work. So
Yeah.
that's what we did. Yeah.
How many acres?
15.
How exciting.
Previously, Heather and Tim's ensuite was a bit of a letdown, whilst the family bathroom was their biggest bugbear. So they're making sure both are put right before they say goodbye.
Oh, it's going to be super smart, isn't it? That's lovely. It's completely different.
Beautiful. It's big. It's much bigger than I remember. Taking everything out.
Yeah,
Very smart tiles.
very smart tiles. It was always a problem, that bathroom, wasn't it?
It was.
It caused you problems before.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got a bit of dark humour about it, I think.
Yeah. It was a rogue element which is now being straightened out.
Rogue bathroom.
Yeah.
It'll be good when it's done. But of course, you're welcome to come and have a look.
Yeah, we'd love that. We would.
It's fantastic for you. I really do.
Thank
I'm
you.
a bit shocked, but I'm super pleased. And I think I should probably get 2 points for this.
I think
It's never happened before.
What?
They're moving. You know, they've done it.
I don't think you should get any points.
I think I should
Never
get
mind
2.
2 points.
It is quite impressive from that.
Don't encourage him.
Sorry.
They're not competitive at all.
No competition.
It's brilliant. Brilliant news.
Thank you.
Well, after almost a year and a half of full starts, I'm thrilled to see Heather and Tim looking so happy and relaxed about their decision.
And within a couple of weeks, after a spend of 30k, the work on the bathroom, ensuite and utility is complete. Meaning Heather and Tim can finally move on once and for all.
Well, that was a first, wasn't it?
What, for us to arrive and find not only were they going to list, but they'd already bought something else?
Bought somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was a great result. I was really happy for them.
Do you know, I always thought they'd be moving. Sometimes I arrive and I think they're not going to stay here. I think the problem was that the property was so suitable from a horse perspective
Yes.
that Heather didn't think that she'd find anywhere within budget.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that every family we work with are savvy spenders, but that wouldn't be true. Some people let their hearts rule their pocketbooks. And some people are so desperate to stay that they'll let their other half spend almost anything in order to seduce them into staying in the house.
Yeah.
But when you do come across someone who is realistic and spends accordingly and changes their spend because of the circumstances, they can often get better results.
Yeah, completely. And there's quite a number of examples.
Examples of that, yeah.